Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that my video finds you in good health. My name is Marco. I am a photographer based out of Los Angeles. I started this YouTube channel about a year ago. I made a couple of videos and then for whatever reason I ended up stopping. But today I'm really excited because I'm reinitiating that endeavor. This is something that it's been in my heart and my soul for quite some time, and I'm really excited to share this journey with you. This episode is part of a new series. It's the first episode in a new series that I'm calling Combos. Combos is just a name that I've given to an exercise that I like to do where I take a lens and I take a camera and then I combine them and I shoot with that combination for an extended period of time. I want to use gear as a reason to talk about the process of improving in photography versus using photography as an excuse to talk about gear. That being said, today's combination is the Sony A5000 and the 7artisans 35mm 1.2 lens. And I absolutely love this combination. I have taken some pictures that are very, very personal and very special to me with this combination. And I can't wait to share with you the 3 things that I have learned shooting with this camera and with this lens. But before I do that, I'm going to share with you some B-roll and some pictures that I shot in Hollywood a couple of weeks ago. I was there for about 45 minutes, and this is what I was able to get.
For the record. For the record.
Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that segment. This episode is going to have quite a few segments like that. All of the B-roll that you're going to see in this episode, as well as all of the pictures, were shot with this combination. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to talk about what I feel is the most valuable part of this episode, and those are the takeaways, the 3 things that I learned shooting with this tiny little beast of a combination. So the first thing that I learned was not to discount or disregard my gear due to an initial level of discomfort. So when I first took this combination out, it was unfamiliar to me. I wasn't used to it, and it was a horrible user experience. I went out to Venice Beach and I did some street photography, and then I went to the skate park and I shot some of the skaters there. And I remember feeling so frustrated, and I absolutely hated this combination. And you know, I've been shooting manual focus lenses exclusively for the last 5 years, but on this particular day, I remember re-evaluating that decision. I remember driving home and thinking, maybe it's time that I buy a new camera and to like something that has fast autofocus, and maybe I need to invest in some autofocus lenses. And so I got home and I put the chip in the computer. I started looking at the pictures, and even though I didn't have a lot of pictures, the pictures that I did have, the majority of them were keepers. And so I continued to shoot with this combination, and by the third or fourth time, what had started out as a really horrible user experience had now turned into something that was pleasant. And then, you know, I continued to shoot with it. And after about maybe 5, 6, 7 times of shooting with this combination for a couple of hours, what was pleasant had now become enjoyable. And it is currently one of my favorite combinations to shoot with. And I would have missed out on all of that had I quit the first day just because it was uncomfortable or because it wasn't familiar to me on that first day. Okay, so the second thing that I learned shooting with this combination was that if I want to improve as a photographer, I'm going to get a much higher yield of results if I invest in myself versus investing in gear. So I already described to you how frustrating it was to shoot with this combination on the first day. And I've already described how it went from being unpleasant to being pleasant and then eventually enjoyable. And so a couple of weeks ago, I was shooting with this combination. I was having a great time, and I was shooting some friends and some fellow musicians at a salsa club. And I remember thinking, wow, it's really fun shooting with this combo. Like, what changed, right? And I realized that, you know, the combo didn't change, right? Like the A5000 didn't grow a viewfinder, the 7artisans lens didn't develop autofocus. I changed. I developed a new skill set. I went from being unfamiliar with this combination and not being very fast and accurate at shooting with it to just becoming very proficient, very good at using this combo. And so that has made me question other things in my life, other things that I have found limiting. And so as I've begun to improve upon my skill sets, I'm finding that the things that I have to work with are yielding much better results that I couldn't have possibly imagined before. So that's been a very powerful lesson, and I thought it was worthy of sharing with you. Okay, so the third thing that I learned shooting with this combination is that no matter how I feel, no matter what my state of mind is, no matter what circumstances may look like, there is always potential and opportunity at my fingertips at any given point in time. And you may be asking yourself how I arrived to this conclusion shooting with this tiny little beast of a combination, and I'm about to tell you. 5 years ago, I purchased the A5000. I took it out of the box and I had a very specific reaction. I remember thinking, wow, this is such a tiny little camera, right? This is the tiniest APS-C interchangeable lens camera that I own. And I was really excited about that. And I remember using, because I was shooting different manual focus lenses at the time, I remember taking it out and having a really uncomfortable and horrible user experience with it. And so I decided to put it on my shelf, and it's been sitting on my shelf ever since. And then about 2 years ago, I purchased the 7artisans 35mm 1.2 lens, and I had a very similar reaction. I took it out of the box, and once again, I remember thinking, wow, this is the tiniest lens that I have from all of my lenses. Naturally, I thought about pairing it up with the A5000. So when I took the 7artisans lens out of the box, I put it on the A5000, and the voice of potential, the voice of opportunity began to talk to me in excitement. And it was saying like, wow, like it's a tiny little, this is almost pocketable. It's almost like a point and shoot, you know, and it has an APS-C size sensor and a 1.2 aperture, you know what I mean? And then, you know, the 35mm and an APS-C is going to make it the equivalent of a 50mm focal length full frame. This is perfect. This is great. And this is going to be awesome. And then the voice of limitation began whispering its venomous truths to me, right? I began to hear in my head, yeah, but you know what? The A5000 has no viewfinder, right? So it's going to be much more challenging manually focusing without a viewfinder. In addition to that, at high ISOs, at 6400 ISO, it's quite grainy. The 7artisans lens is a manual focus lens, and at 1.2, it's probably going to be much more challenging to shoot with it. So at that time, I was more limitation oriented. So I listened to the voice of limitation, and I divorced this lens from this camera, and I did not pair them up till recently. So, you know, I already described how I took them out to Venice Beach, and how I continue to shoot with it. I've made some pictures that are truly meaningful to me, and I would have missed out on that had I continued to listen to the voice of limitations. I am learning to look at things from the perspective of potential. Even in my personal life, the things that used to make me sad are actually now making me happy, because I'm now seeing the potential and the opportunity in those things. So this was just a very powerful lesson. I hope that it was valuable to you. As I continue to make these videos, I will get better at talking in front of the camera, and the production value will increase. What I want to do right now is I want to share with you one last segment, some of my favorite pictures. These are pictures that I've you know, taken of skaters, pictures that I've taken of strangers that I've approached on the boardwalk, as well as some pictures from travels and even a portrait session. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Stick around for this last segment, and I will, you know, see you in the next one. Bye.